welcome to the PeakDay podcast, where we talk about fertility and natural family planning with our friends. Today's guest is Stephen Thomas. Steve is a husband to Jenny, and they have 8 living children. Stephen spent 5 years in the seminary, discerning a vocation to the priesthood. Then, as an entrepreneur, he started a number of apostolates and companies. One was PeakDay Corporation that raised money to support natural family planning and other pro-life initiatives. Steve and his wife Jenny taught natural family planning and chastity education for over 10 years for their diocese of Joliet, Illinois, where they currently live.
I have the scars to prove it.
After finishing a grueling pilgrimage of over 4,500 miles across the U.S., Stephen was given the inspiration and determination to finish his first novel, Catholic Joe Superhero, that beautifully weaves the Church's teaching on marriage throughout. Welcome, Steve. Thank you for joining us on the PeakDay podcast.
It's great to be here, Martha. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I read your novel, of course, and it's like a primer in Catholic marriage.
Yeah, it does. It goes in pretty deep, and I go right for the jugular. I don't waffle at all, and yeah, that's like I said before when we started the interview. That's one of my hot buttons. It's the Church's teaching on marriage, and the fact that we don't sometimes give couples the resources that they need. And obviously, with couple to couple, with your organization, that's all you're about, is trying to give them the tools to succeed. And
why Joe? Who is he to you, and what was his genesis?
So Joe, I picked the name for a number of reasons, right? Just like G.I. Joe, it's every person, every man, every woman. So it's supposed to be generic and obviously, dedicated to Saint Joseph. The book is dedicated to him. In fact, it's funny because everything I do is given to our Blessed Mother, right? It goes through her heart. And I was going to type it on there, and it was kind of like she said, nope, this is for my most chaste spouse, Joseph. So I dedicated it to him. Joe, to me, he's kind of like that perfect man, even though you don't want to make him too perfect because he's not believable. He's got his flaws, but he's strong. He's a strong man, and really, it's kind of like the man I wish I could be, in a sense. In that, I think, if you think about the book Walter Mitty, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, this is like where my imagination just kind of takes over. Somebody that's strong, that's that could really take on anybody with their bare hands, but somebody still compassionate, somebody that can still show feelings, emotions. And the figure of Joe, again, he's from a large Italian Catholic family. I wanted men to be really proud to be Catholic and not ashamed. I feel like as men, as Catholics, we've been playing defense for so long. I wanted somebody that could go on offense for us. So somebody that could say the things I wish I could say, somebody that could do the things I wish I could do. And so, it was great therapy. It was great therapy for me just to be able to create this person that could do everything I wanted to do in life, especially in the church. It's a fictional book, but there's a lot of truth in it. And that was fun. But yeah, just to show that, again, I used to coach inner city kids, and that person you saw, Darius, I coached to Darius, acted just like this person, and again, your heart goes out to them, and you don't always get the results that you want with them, but in the book, I did. He was able to make an impact on them, and actually, the second book, you'll see Darius is going to reappear again. So he enlists in the Marines. And he becomes a different person, and it's going to be a fun. That's the thing, is I've got all these ideas in my head, and all these things that are just trying to map out for the next book. So that's the thing, is you never know with people. You never know the people that you meet. You never know their stories. Exactly. And I just remember as I was writing it. So I wrote a lot of this in the Blessed Sacrament Chapel. So I'm riding with Jesus, and I'm like, and sometimes the tears are coming down because you're in the moment, when he's at the bridge, and you know what I mean? It's like you're emotionally in it, which is, I guess that's the way it's supposed to be, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, he was a fun character.
So who is your book's audience?
So it was primarily written for men, specifically married men or engaged or men that men that will be married at some point. Because again, it was meant to give number one hope and encouragement to men, and also to give them a good model of masculinity. Again, what does a true leader in a family look like? And also again, just to pull them back to their families, to their wives and their spouses. So that's kind of like the primary driver. But what I found, Martha, is that women love it, and I think maybe there's something, because I think maybe they miss that masculine, right? Maybe they miss that strength that is
Right.
attractive.
I
And
was going to ask about Mary, Joe's wife. She shares with her sister-in-law that the family rosary and NFP are the two key practices that have kept Mary and Joe together. Can you talk about that a little bit?
sure. So yeah, so I mean, again, that's just from personal experience. I mean, I was in the seminary for 5 years, read Humana Vitae, but really didn't understand the church's teaching on marriage and family. And it wasn't until at the time, I think it was Father Caff, or maybe he was auxiliary bishop at the time. He goes, you know what? He goes, you should teach engaged couples. And I was like, I have no idea what. So it forced me to really go in and dive deep into what the church taught. And the more I learned, the more beautiful those teachings were to me, and the more it just made me want to go deeper into the reality and the truth of what the church taught.
Mm-hmm.
And again, to share that, right? Because when we have good news, when we have good things, we have to share it. So
Right.
so I really appreciated that. And again, it's for me, what the church taught, and to be able to share that with other engaged couples was just super important. And again, my wife, we both were in this together, so we both supported each other. It's funny because whenever we are going to teach that night, I mean, always we would be at each other's throat. Satan would be like, just like, oh, did you hear what she just said to you? Oh, and so after a while, we were like, you know what? Hey, there seems to be a pattern here. So we kind of bolstered up the prayers a little bit, and just realized that, yeah, there's, as St. John Vianney would say, because there's some big fish are coming, or something like that. You
Mm-hmm.
never know. Because I mean, think about it. If you could influence one person just to have one more child that they wouldn't have had, I mean, I see you've changed the universe. You've changed the whole dynamic of creation, bringing that extra soul in, for the Father. So that's why Satan doesn't want souls, and if there are souls, he wants to destroy them. He wants to hurt God as much as he can.
So in the book, you talk about the family as the domestic church. You talk about natural family planning, personal prayer, family prayer. Being aware of diabolic influences, among other things. So how does the novel give a roadmap for a healthy marriage?
Yeah. So yeah, I think you hit it on the head, Martha. I think that it really is about how should we live as a family. And again, like I didn't mention but the family rosary for us, it really changed the dynamic of our family and our marriage. Just like when we started teaching NFP, that really left an impact. But the family rosary, there's yeah, it's funny because you've got young kids. I think at one time we had 4 kids in diapers. It was crazy, because we had twins. and
Oh,
and and you're saying the rosary, and it's just total chaos, and you're like, what good what good is coming out of this, other than me, like, wanting to get prescribed something. um but the thing is it really does. I mean, it's one of those silent witnesses that just will transform your marriage.
mm-hmm.
So when I say that in the book, I mean it. And it's something that, again, like the Angelus, I've got that sprinkled throughout.
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
all kinds of different Catholic. I mean, it's like rich with Catholicism.
yes.
And yeah, and I try. I mean, in fact, so a evangelical friend of mine was Catholic. Left when he was really young. he read the book, and I'm like, well, this should be interesting. So he read the book and he goes, I loved it. He goes, and he shared it with all of his Protestant friends. I thought that was so funny. I go, was there anything that you didn't like about it? He goes, well, there was a lot of Catholic stuff, but other than that, he goes, it was just, and I'm like, well, yeah, hopefully there's Catholic stuff. Yeah, I just, what, again, I think it goes back to that theme, Martha, of um, wanting to be proud of our faith, wanting, tired of playing defense,
Right.
going on offense, and again, that's what this figure does. He's on offense. He's attacking the corruption.
Right.
He's not, he's being strategic. And again, the whole roadmap of the book, any couple that reads it, and again, it's not really for young kids, just because there are some like adult themes or some words that I star out, but they're still what they're saying. But I want it to be authentic. I'm not going to have somebody say fiddlesticks, and
Right.
that's not what a person on
Right.
the street would say when
No. Yeah.
when something happens. But yeah, no, I would say it's a roadmap for any couple in their family, in their marriage,
Mm-hmm.
to follow. And again, there's a lot. I mean, this is a series, so there's a lot more coming. Mary's going to get a lot more spotlight in the next book, because I
Okay.
really wanted to focus on the main character Joe, but I want to, in the next book, I really want to focus on Mary and and really the support, how important her support was. And again,
Mm-hmm.
I always say people in the military, the ones who sacrifice the most are the families. It's not even the soldiers themselves, because the families are left without that loved one, and they, that worry, and um,
Yeah.
and I think that's I think a pretty decent portrayal in the book of how that plays out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He has a lot of support in pretty much all facets of his life. He has his buddies from the military. He has, a lot of priest friends
Yeah,
who, are able to guide him. So that's that. I think that's a lesson too from the book, is that you need to have your
yeah.
support structure in order to be effective in what you're
No,
doing.
and that's a good point. And I think I had one of this gentleman who did a book review on us early on. Um, he said the same thing. He said one of the keys is that even though he's a superhero, he can't do it alone. He really does rely on, on his wife, on
Right.
his priest friends, on his other friends, and I think that's a big takeaway. Because a lot of times guys, yeah, they're on islands, and they want to try to figure stuff out themselves. But the older I get, the more I realize that I need, not only do I need God, I need other men and other people, really, just to,
Mm-hmm.
just for that support, just to be able to make it and to stay healthy and strong.
So you touched on this just a little bit, but why did you choose superhero as a subtitle?
Now, superhero, for the book, a lot of people are into Marvel and DC, and all
Mm-hmm.
those. And they've got all these crazy that can do all these different things. Well, here's a guy that he's a superhero, by merit of his baptism and the grace that he receives as priest, prophet, and king. He's able to do great things because of his animated faith, his faith in God. He's able to, and I guess the point is that we can all do those things. So we're all called to be superheroes. When I sign the book for people, I always say, be a superhero or be the superhero. We're all called to do that. And again, I mean, think about it. Whether I can disappear or I can lift a mountain. What's the greatest thing I could ever do? That's to help a soul get into heaven, to
Mm-hmm.
reunite a soul with the Father. There's no greater thing I could do, and why wouldn't you call that person a superhero? Right? I mean, it's better than picking a car up at their hands and throwing it at somebody.
So, what are your hopes for those who are reading your book?
Well, just I've been so blessed in having people come up and with tears in their eyes say, this changed my life. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's, to me, there's nothing greater than to be able to have that impact on somebody where it really turns them back to the Father. One of the things in the book is I try to reveal the heart of the Father. There's a couple scenes in there that actually, one scene that really happened to me, that remember the scene where he was in the Vatican. He was praying before the Blessed Sacrament,
Yes.
and he had this vision that actually happened to me. And I don't know if it was a dream or if it was, because it was so real, I couldn't talk about it without crying. I mean, because it was just so vivid. But that whole scene with the father and the child, um, like I said, it was just so powerful. I just, I want people to know that we have such a good father and that his love is unconditional. So my goal is for people to be transformed and to come back to the father. That, to me, that's the only goal. I mean, it's great to entertain. I mean, I love to entertain people. That's, and because again, it's very entertaining. It's a page turner. You just, you want to read the next, and it starts off a little slow, but it kind of picks up. But that's the main thing, is really just to bring people back to the Father.
I think you did a really great job of making the living of your faith something that can be a part of every decision that you make, and how
Yeah.
turning to prayer and that like real personal conversation is something that everybody can do. And it was kind of like, this is what it can look like type of thing, which
Right.
I found very valuable.
Yeah, actually, yeah, and that's the thing is, and you want to make it believable. You don't want to, he doesn't fast for 41 days in the desert. He just, but again, he's just living his faith. He's living his life. He wakes up. He says the Angelus at
Yeah.
6 a.m. And then but yeah. So really, it's about showing the beauty and depth. And I'll give you an example. So my sister, who's she's very liberal, and she's very highly educated, but very liberal, totally on the other side of the spectrum for me. Although we love each other, and we're able to bridge that gap. But she goes, "I'm going to read your book," and I'm like, "Oh," I go, that should be great conversation over Thanksgiving, right? Um, but she read it, and she goes, and with tears in her eyes, she goes, I never realized how deep and how beautiful our faith was. And she came back to going to church, and
Oh,
really
my.
practicing your faith. And again, it's not just a matter of practicing your faith. That's
Mhm.
not enough. It's really falling in love with God. and
Yeah.
and that's what, and that's, I think, when she said the depth and beauty of our faith, really it's the depth and beauty of the love that God has for us, that we want to try to show in the book.
Yeah. So why do you think fiction is such a good vehicle
Oh,
for
oh,
sharing
oh my goodness.
values and yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's so much better than nonfiction. It's fun. It really is fun because you can create your own reality, and again, hopefully the Holy Spirit is somewhere present in this reality. And go back. The main goal is we want to bring people back to the Father. So that, so with fiction, in fact, I've got, oh my goodness, I've got probably like 7 chapters for the next book already, and I can't wait to start writing. In fact, I have to start writing soon.
Yeah.
Um,
That was one
because
of
I
my
actually,
questions. Yeah. What is Catholic Joe's next adventure?
oh yeah, so yeah, because I got to tell you, so I said a prayer on March 19th, so the feast of Saint Joseph, and I never do this. I shouldn't say never, but I rarely do this. I asked Saint Joseph for a sign. I go, Saint Joseph, I go, I need you to give me a sign if I should start writing, like right. And so this lady that I know, she's a prayer warrior. Probably talk to her maybe 2, 3 times a year. She calls me that day, probably like in a couple hours. She goes, Steve, she goes, I was praying, and I had this vision. She goes, I saw you at a podium talking, and she goes, I saw St. Joseph standing next to you, and he handed you his staff. Does that mean anything to you? I was like, yeah, I just laughed to myself. I said, thank you, St. Joseph. You're so good to, even though we're so undeserving, but
Yeah. Oh,
so I gotta keep typing away and get this next book.
so let's switch gears a little bit and talk about your natural family planning. So when did you and your wife learn about natural family planning? How did that come about?
So when we got married, we basically were just open to life, but there were times where we had looked at really not even following the church teaching as far as like a condom or things like that. Again, it felt wrong, but we weren't we weren't fully educated and really didn't know. But it was, I think, when this priest had challenged us. He said, "Hey, you should really think about teaching natural family planning." And I was like, "I have no idea what it is." Um, and so it was from that. It was because a priest challenged us,
Right.
and that was really at the beginning of our marriage, probably in the first few months. And then, once he did that, and once we started going with that, again, it was just you just fell in love with it. You just saw the beauty of it, and you saw how much it really changed the dynamic. And also a priest in confession. So I went to confession to this. I think he was an Opus Dei priest, but he was really good. He was really strong, but very gentle. So he was unrelenting as far as, oh no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. And here's why. And it was a radical like change from what we had thought. But it was really a couple priests that really changed the trajectory
Mm-hmm.
of our marriage. And again, we've got eight living children. We've had some miscarriages, but eight living children that they all love God. And our oldest is with the CFRs. He's with the Franciscan Friars of Renewal. And and again, all of our kids really serve and are missionaries, kind of in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been very blessed because these priests, challenged us to think about what the church taught.
Right.
We need that. We need more of that.
Right. That is a huge thing for priests to be able, well, for priests to know about
Yeah.
it and to be able to speak about it knowledgeably and believably,
Right.
and for them to actually, like you said, challenge their people. And
And that's what Joe does in the book is he challenges the bishops, which again,
right.
that last chapter, right? And I love that chapter because especially that quote from Fulton Sheen, one of my favorite quotes.
Mm,
But yeah, people want to be challenged. They really do.
yeah.
They want to be challenged.
Well, thank you, Steve, for being on the PeakDay podcast with us.
Well, let me just share. So if they want to get the book,
Oh,
you
sure.
can, yeah, you can go to CatholicJoeSuperhero.com. It's the website, CatholicJoeSuperhero.com. And you
Mm-hmm.
can buy the book. You can actually, if you want to get like a box of books, we give like a $10 a book. It's
Uh-huh.
the cost on it. So it's a
Okay.
pretty good discount, pretty sizable. But yeah, go to
Great.
the website. Don't go to Amazon because we don't make any money on Amazon. It's up there, but just
Right.
go to the website and
Uh-huh.
and just hopefully help us get the word out. There you
There it
go.
is. Catholic Joe
Boom.
superhero.
Yep. Good stuff. Thanks,
Yeah.
Martha.